So the most common mistake that I see in voice network security, it's actually a very large umbrella type mistake. It's not something that can be fixed quickly with a keyboard or anything like that. It's a failure of imagination to imagine your network at scale. The networks that we operate, a lot of them will get built from scratch exactly once. And a lot of them started as relatively small operations, especially if you've been wildly successful. You know, there's been a lot of mergers and acquisitions. There's been huge growth in the VoIP industry. And so, you know, these small operations, sometimes wildly successful, turn into large operations. So failure to imagine your network at scale is sort of the most common one that I run into. And that it sort of manifests itself in a lot of different ways. Just an example would be, certainly a fair amount of thought was probably put into the cost associated with deploying handsets. You know, it's non-trivial to, you know, get a handset from the manufacturer, you know, get the provisioning information out of the individual handsets and associate it with an individual user, and then sort of put that thing on the desk and maintain security all the way through. But a fair amount of thoughts given to these sorts of things, and sometimes we sacrifice the security in favor of ease of use. So an example might be manually configured devices that are, you know, placed out because, you know, historically, if you were an integrator or you had an integrator that was placing phones manually, they were going out providing white glove service. They might you know, touch each and every phone, polish it before they hand it over to the customer, make sure the buttons all had the speed dials on them that they wanted, and so on and so forth. And then they walk away, and the customer ends up with a fantastic experience, thrilled to death with what they've received. But what you know, potentially left with was a manually configured device. Long before we decide to end of life these devices, there'll be multiple opportunities to upgrade these devices. And if they're manually configured and they're not talking to a centralized provisioning server, then, you know, that's bad. The risk is that you end up on the end of the scale where, no, we're just going to place this thing down. It's going to, you know, it's really, really simple to place the device, have it use the default username and password, reach back out to the server, get its config. It's going to be great. You know, we can ship thousands of these things a week and turn them up. You know, when we're big boys, we'll come back and figure out how to, you know, get these things under control. You know, so there's a lot of different things that sort of cascade and cause security ripples due to, you know, the failure to imagine your network at scale. Just because we were not imaginative enough, or we never imagined we were going to have 1 million subscribers way back when, doesn't mean that we have to give up on imagining now where we're at and figuring out how to get from where we were when we were more naive to where we need to be from a security perspective.